Good afternoon and welcome to the Tameside Reporter Sports Show. 4 of our teams begin their FA Cup campaigns this weekend and we're here at the picturesque Seel Park in Mossley ahead of their trip to Glossop. As usual, we'll also be bringing you the latest from Curzon Ashton, Ashton United and Stalybridge Celtic. So we'll start in the Evo 6 Premier Division then with Ashton United, who began their season with 2 1-all draws away at Hednesford Town and at home to Mossley Celtic on Tuesday. And Mark was at that game.
Brilliant stuff. So we'll take a look towards this season. You had a mixed pre-season, didn't you? You claimed a 1-all draw at Hednesford Town last weekend. Matt Chadwick scored his 50th goal for the club. What were your thoughts on the game?
It was a game we could have won, could have lost. Going into that, obviously you touched on pre-season there, we did have a bit of a mixed bag in pre-season. Players available, not available, we had a few injuries, etc. and stuff like that, and we were kind of charting quite well until probably the Droylsden game where we had an indifferent performance, came away with a 3-3, and then we were very poor at Hyde, which came at a good time, probably a game before the start of the season, so we didn't go into with a false sense of security really. So the lads responded to obviously what we spoke to him about during the week. Obviously that performance wasn't acceptable and we took that into Saturday. A game, as I said, time will tell whether it's a good point or not really. We'll see how they chart, next season. I think they'll do okay. I think they'll be up towards the top half of the table. But any point away from home is a decent one. Fantastic stuff. Now you mentioned some injuries then, the biggest being Ryan Crowther, who's out for the full season, and defender Tom Eckersley, who's out for 6 months with a hamstring. No, he's out for 6 weeks actually. It was a bit of misreporting. Maybe he misheard me a little bit, Pav. But yeah, he's only out for 6 weeks. He's got a bit of a tear on his hamstring, so he'll be out for 6 weeks. Massive blow losing Ryan Crowther. Him and Matty Chadwick were unplayable at times last year and contributed a lot of goals. And I wouldn't be conservative in saying it probably could have contributed 60 goals between them this season. So that's it's a massive blow straight away. Yeah. We've lost Alex Johnson for a month at the start of the season as well, another new signing. So we tried to change the shape a little bit Saturday to suit the players that we had. So I think all in all, saying that as well, we threw the formation on the lads on the Thursday. We worked on it a little bit on the pitch and took it into Saturday. So all in all, it's not a bad point.
Well, it was a decent performance from Ashton, who came so close to claiming all the 3 points, hitting the crossbar twice in succession in the 94th minute. We caught up with manager Jody Banim following the game.
Jody, a 1-all draw tonight. What are your thoughts on the game?
Game of 2 halves. Thought we were very, very, very poor first half. Poor in possession. Didn't close people down quick enough, didn't work hard enough. Decision making was poor. Thought they could have been 2 or 3 goals to the good. Thought we were lucky to still be in a game come half time. So second half, I asked for a response from them. Obviously we had a heated exchange in the changing rooms. We came out a different team. I mean, I've just said to the lads in there, potentially it's something I have to look at. Obviously I've set up in a certain shape tonight and don't think it worked. Whether it was the shape or performance-wise, I'm not too sure. I'll have to think about that. But we've changed the shape. We've gone 4-3-3 second half, and we look like a completely different team. Could have scored 2, 3, 4 ourselves with the amount of chances we've created. Worked hard. We've penned them in their own half. They've had very little to go off. Just really, really disappointing. We've given away a really soft goal in the end, another penalty.
So Mark, as we've just seen, you were at Hurst Cross on Tuesday. What did you make of Ashton's performance? And do you think Jody Banim will be happy with 2 points from 2 games?
If I'm being honest, I thought the first half performance on Tuesday was very, very poor, and by his own admission, Jody Banim said that. 2 points from 2 games, I think he'll be quite happy with that. I think it's something to build on. Of course, you're always looking for 2 consecutive victories, but against 2 decent sides, who should be challenging up there this season, I think 2 points is good.
The major talking point from Tuesday was an injury to Josh Stratini. Hope I've got that right, I'm not sure, but he ruptured his ACL, and of course we talked last week about Ryan Crowther, who's got a similar injury. Both players out for the season, a massive blow to Ashton.
Yeah, it's a terrible look up at there at Hurst Cross, isn't it? I mean, I'm not sure what they've done to deserve this, but Jody Banim has put together a fantastic squad up there, and I think obviously with the signing of Jack Dyche, they've brought in some proven firepower in this division, and I think they should be okay.
Just to mention Jack Dyche there, he played on Tuesday, started the game. What a workhorse he is. He wasn't really effective during that game, but the amount of effort he put in to close down defenders was supreme.
So we'll wish both Josh and Ryan the speediest of recoveries, and hopefully we'll see them back at Hurst Cross next season. So Ashton hope to get their first win of the season tomorrow at home to Grantham Town, who are actually top of the table after 2 wins, 7 goals and none conceded from their first 2 games. Lee, that points to a tough afternoon for the Robins.
Absolutely, it could be a difficult one for them. Obviously we don't think the table means too much at this part of the season, but obviously going there, it is going to be a very difficult game. Lee Shaw is absolutely on fire for the team. He scored well last season. He's continued the form on into this season.
And then Mark, they go to Warrington on Tuesday night in the IKEA derby, so we're calling it. How many points do you think Ashton can get from these next 2 games?
I'm going to go for 4 points. I think they'll get a point against Grantham this weekend, and I think they'll pick up the 3 points at Warrington next Tuesday. Now, Warrington last season were a very good side. It was their first ever stint in the Evo Stick Premier Division, so I think they'll be up there this season, but I also think Jody Banim's side can claim the 3 points.
So elsewhere in the Evo Stick Premier Division, Stalybridge Celtic started their season with a 1-0 home victory over Nantwich Town, but then they went to Whitby on Tuesday and were hammered 4-1. Mark, do you think Celtic fans should be worried, or is this a bit of a freak result?
No, it's a freak result. I mean, I was at the game last weekend in that 1-0 victory over Nantwich Town. A very solid performance, especially first half. They went out all guns blazing. Alex Honeyball scored the only goal of the game. Very impressed with Aaron Burns, who, even though they did get beat 4-1 at Whitby, he scored the goal and got off, scored his first goal for the club. So positives from that. So Bridge are back at Bowerfold tomorrow against Rush Hall at the Olympic. And then on Tuesday they're at home again against Marine. Were you backing Steve Mears' men to bounce back?
Yeah, I think it's been a difficult start to the season for Steve Burr and his boys. Obviously not doing too well, obviously with dropping the points there. But I think you've got to remember they brought in 19 players over the summer. That is an entire squad, and it's going to take time for them to gel and learn to play together.
So good luck to Ashton and Stalybridge in their league games this week, but we're going to focus now on our teams in the Evo Stick First Division North who get their FA Cup campaigns underway this weekend in the preliminary round. We'll start with the local derby, Glossop North End v Mossley, 2 sides who have had great starts to their league seasons. Starting with Glossop, Mark, they've got 6 points from 6 after beating Goole 3-0 on the opening day and a 2-0 victory over Clitheroe on Tuesday. Mark, Glossop will have been disappointed to miss out on the playoffs last season, but Paul Phillips and Steve Halford will be delighted with the way they've started.
Oh yeah, absolutely wonderful start for the Hillmen. Of course, Paul Phillips and Steve Halford have come to the club over the summer. They've established what looks to be on paper a fantastic side, and I guess the results in these previous 2 games go to show that.
So on to Mossley, who sit 1 place and 2 points behind Glossop in the table. They had a fantastic opening day, winning 5-2 at Kendal, followed up by a 1-0 draw against Colne here at Seel Park on Tuesday night. Earlier today, we spoke to Mossley committee members Matthew Hayton and Pete Green about the club's start to this season and tomorrow's FA Cup tie at Glossop.
Indeed, it's been a fantastic start to the season for us. You only have to look at the kind of the players that we've got on the pitch now. Young, hungry players, lots of potential, and we're really pleased to get those 4 points from 2 games where the corresponding fixtures last season we didn't get anything, so it's a real good start for us.
Pete, obviously last season was a bit of a write-off, didn't end too well. I think you ended the season in 17th spot, but the seasons before that you won the Manchester Premier Cup twice in succession and just missed out on the playoffs. Do you expect a good season for the club this season?
Yes, like Matthew said, the team this season, it's 100% better than last season. We've got all the young players now. Tom Dean has took the captaincy role off Andy Keown from last season. It's like we're a lot of young players now. We've got a local lad, Mossley, who lives in Mossley, playing for us, and he's coming up. He's just come from 3 leagues below. But yeah, I think we could get up there again.
And of course it's a very tight-knit community up here in Mossley. How would you advise the locals to come and watch a game? How would you sell it to them?
Well, we appreciate that football fans are being priced out of football, particularly at the higher levels, and we don't do that here at this club. The admission prices they're cheap. children get in for free at all games here. So I'd encourage anyone who wants to come along and give non-league football a try, and a local team, to come give us a go. You won't regret it. Really friendly team here and club. You're made to feel part of it. We've got a great catering setup. The social club's really good, and it's played against a stunning backdrop as well. So come along and try it.
So Mark, Matthew and Pete, very confident there. Do you think this should be? Who do you make favourites for the clash tomorrow?
It's a tricky one. You're putting me on the spot there because, of course, like you said then, they both had wonderful starts to the season. I'm going to go for a draw tomorrow. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in a very tight game, and I think Mossley will bring Glossop back to Seel Park.
I was reading earlier today Mark's interview with Peter Band on the back page of The Reporter, and he admitted that he and Lloyd Morrison will prioritise the league this season. What do you make of that?
I'm not so sure, because obviously we talk about all the time about the cliche that is the magic of the cup, but it is very important to teams at this level. I mean, I think there's almost £2,000 just for winning this game tomorrow. Now, obviously they've done a lot of work here at Seel Park over the winter. I know they've revamped the tunnel.
Yep.
That money is crucial to teams like this. It's the lifeblood. It allows them to make repairs, make additions to the stadium. I think it's obviously the league should be where the main success is focused, but I think the cup certainly has a lot to offer.
So we'll talk now about our other two teams playing in the FA Cup this weekend, starting with Droylsden. They lost their first league game of the season last weekend, 2-0 away at Clitheroe, but bounced back with a 3-1 win over Radcliffe Borough at the Butcher's Arms on Tuesday. Mark, they go to Ossett Albion tomorrow in the Cup, and then next weekend they play them again in the league. We touched upon it there, League versus Cup. If you could offer Droylsden one win out of these two games, which one do you think they'd take?
I'm going to go for the FA Cup based on the finances it brings. You go on a decent FA Cup run, as Curzon Ashton showed last season, brings in the finances, more money for the kitty, more money for players, bigger budget, speaks volumes.
So on to Hyde then, who drew 0-0 at Scarborough in front of 1,500 people on the opening day, and then beat Prescott Cables 2-1 at Ewan Fields on Tuesday. They're at home to Congleton Town in the Cup tomorrow. A great opportunity for Darren Kelly's men to get to the first qualifying round.
Absolutely. I think the squad that Darren Kelly's assembled at Hyde this year is fantastic, and I personally think they should be pushing for the league. Now, I don't know, playing Congleton Town, whether he'll rest some of those first team players. I know it's only early in the season and people are thinking, why do they want to rest? But obviously injuries play a part. I think certainly I don't think it'd be a full strength 11 out against Congleton, and I'd still back them to progress.
Well, interestingly enough, when I spoke to Darren Kelly a few weeks ago, when he focused on the FA Cup, he was saying that his side aren't going to take the foot off the pedal. They want to do well in this competition, and he knows full well the finances it can bring.
There we go then, what do I know?
Well, good luck to all our teams in the FA Cup this weekend. Let's hope we can get another great cup run in the borough over the course of the season. But to that team who had a great cup run last season, Curzon Ashton, they've been obviously focusing on their National League North campaign. They bounced back from that heavy defeat at Stockport County with a 1-1 draw at Chorley and a 1-0 home win against AFC Telford. So 4 points from the two games after that pretty shocking performance at Edgeley Park. Vital they bounced back.
Absolutely. I mean, we were there at Edgeley Park and it wasn't great, was it? But I did see an interesting stat this week on Twitter. I think Joe Guest has been involved in every goal that Curzon Ashton have scored. Now, we know Joe Guest has been there for a couple of years now, hasn't he? He's been a fantastic player for Curzon, and I certainly think that maybe he'll be one of those that could do it in the higher divisions.
He was a standout player for me last season, absolutely instrumental in their FA Cup success and obviously clinching a mid-table finish.
Well, no, you were at the game on Monday night, so what did you make of Joe Guest, and did that 1-0 scoreline reflect the game?
Yes, it did, and interestingly, I read match reports from a guy who works down in Telford, and that wasn't a true reflection of the game. I thought Curzon absolutely battered Telford. You know, you look at a 1-0 score, you might not think they did, but in my eyes they did. It was a wonderful performance.
So this weekend, Curzon travel to Tamworth, who've had a mixed start to the season. They sit in 11th place with 6 points from 4 games. Mark, Tamworth finished 9th last season. It did look for a bit like they might get in the playoffs. How do you think Tamworth will fare this season?
I think they'll be pushing for the playoffs again. They've got an experienced manager in former Wrexham player Andy Morell. He knows what he's doing in this league, and like I said then, I can see them pushing.
So Tamworth v Curzon, then predictions, guys?
I think the Reece Dyche, who's been banging in goals for Tamworth, I think he'll be a bit of a danger man. I think, unfortunately, it's going to be a Tamworth win.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw based on the fact that John Flanagan's side aren't used to playing on an artificial pitch, which they do have at the Lamb Ground.
So that's all for this week, but as always, there's a more in-depth roundup of Tameside sport on the Sporty Spotlight tonight with myself, Mark, Martin and Lee. And we've got a special guest, George Clayton, who's the media officer at Ashton United. So make sure you tune in to Tameside Radio at 6 o'clock.